So I just want to break this down one more time. I go into a Ford dealership, drive off with a new F-150. Unless I paid cash, I've still got to pay for it each month. I can't just say, you know, I'm not going to make my car payment this month. That's what Congress is threatening to do, just saying I'm not going to pay the bills. There are consequences to that. The bill collector starts calling you, right? Your credit goes south, and you got all kinds of problems. Same is true for our country. So if we don't raise the debt ceiling, we're deadbeats. If we fail to increase the debt limit, we would send our economy into a tailspin. That's a quote, by the way, what I just said. You know who said it? The Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner. The Republican Speaker has said if we don't pay our bills, we'll have an economic tailspin. So this is not just my opinion, this is everybody's opinion. All right. Now, why haven't we already gotten it done if it's such a simple thing? Everybody's nodding. They're all like, yeah, why didn't we already get this done? Democrats and some reasonable Republicans in Congress are willing to raise the debt ceiling and pass a sensible budget. And I want to work with Democrats and Republicans to do just that. Claire McCaskill, she's ready to do it. Congressman Cleaver, he's ready to do it. And if we just pass the budget, raise the debt ceiling, we can get back to focusing on growing this economy and creating jobs, educating our kids, all the things we got to do. Unfortunately, there is a faction on the far right of the Republican Party right now. It's not everybody, but it's a pretty big faction who've convinced their leadership to threaten a government shutdown and potentially threaten to not raise the debt ceiling if they can't shut off the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. Now think about this. They're not talking now about, you know, spending cuts. They're not talking about entitlement reform. They're not talking about any of that. Now they're talking about something that has nothing to do with the budget, right? They're actually willing to plunge America into default if we can't defund the Affordable Care Act. Now let's put this in perspective. The Affordable Care Act has been in the law for 3.5 years. It passed both houses of Congress. Supreme Court ruled it constitutional. It was an issue in last year's elections. The guy who was running against me said he was going to repeal it. We won. So, you know, the voters were pretty clear on this. And then Republicans in Congress, they've tried to repeal or sabotage this more than 40 times. They've had these repeal votes. Every time they failed. This law that is in place is already providing people benefits. It's not holding back economic growth. It's helping millions of Americans, including some of you or your family members that you may not be aware of. You can keep your kid on your own health insurance plan, somebody's raising their hand right here, until they're 26 because of the Affordable Care Act. Which is one of the main reasons why the number of uninsured among young people has gone down over the last 3 years. Seniors, they are benefiting right now from discounted prescription drug costs because of the law. If you've got health insurance, insurance companies can't impose lifetime limits on you. They can't use the fine print not to pay for if you get sick. Insurance companies have to spend 80% of your premiums on your health care, not on administrative costs and CEO bonuses. Those are happening right now. And health care costs have actually increased at the slowest rate in 50 years. So this is helping to reduce health care costs across the economy. Finally, starting on October 1st, it's going to help millions of more people who don't have health insurance right now. What it's going to do is we're going to set up pools so that just like a worker at Ford can benefit from good insurance rates because you got a lot of workers in one big pool, now people who don't have the good fortune to work at a big company like Ford, they can also get a good deal. Now, that's what they're fighting for. They want to repeal all that, and they're saying we're going to hold our breath, and if you don't repeal it, which I've already said I'm not going to do, we're going to send the economy into default. They will send our economy into a tailspin, just like Speaker Boehner said. They want to threaten default just to make sure that tens of millions of Americans continue not to have health care. Defunding affordable health care would rob 25 million Americans of the chance to get health care coverage. It would cut basic health care services for tens of millions of seniors on Medicare already. That's what House Republicans are fighting for. And now they've gone beyond just holding Congress hostage, they're holding the whole country hostage. One Republican senator called shutting down the government over the Affordable Care Act the dumbest idea I've ever heard. I agree with him. But that's the strategy they're pursuing. House of Representatives just voted on it today. Now, I tell you what, Missouri, the American people have worked too hard for too long, digging out of a real crisis just to let politicians in Washington cause another crisis. This is the United States of America. We're not some banana republic. This is not a deadbeat nation. We don't run out on our tab. We're the world's bedrock investment. The entire world looks to us to make sure the world economy is stable. We can't just not pay our bills. And even threatening something like that is the height of irresponsibility. So what I've said is I will not negotiate over the full faith and credit of the United States. I am not going to allow anyone to harm this country's reputation. I'm not going to allow them to inflict economic pain on millions of our own people just so they can make an ideological point. But I need you to help. I need you to help tell Congress, pay our bills on time, pass a budget on time, stop governing from crisis to crisis, put our focus back on where it should be, on you, the American people, on creating new jobs, on growing our economy, on restoring security for middle-class families. That's what you deserve.